I, 35, am infertile. My ex-husband and I tried everything to have kids, but it just never happened. He divorced me, went and married someone younger who was able to give him a kid, and from what I gather, they're expecting a second child together. It hurts like hell seeing someone else have what I couldn't. I get frustrated with myself sometimes and with family blaming me for basically everything. I turn to my friends for support, especially Alessia. She's in the same infertility boat as me, but she and her husband are currently trying IVF, hoping it'd work. Alessia asked me for help to pay for her upcoming IVF cycle. I agreed to write her a check of $12,000. I really wanted to help her, and the money came with no strings attached. I wrote the check and gave it to her last week. She was very appreciative of it. The very next day, I got a sudden message from a mutual friend, Carol, with a screenshot of the conversation she had with Alessia. Turns out she and Alessia were talking about the next IVF cycle, and Alessia said she hoped the cycle would work because she didn't want to end up divorced, and having her husband go marry someone younger and have a baby with them and another one on the way. While she's alone and without a family at 35. She's 32. I was stunned and hurt. I knew she met me here. But I did not confront her. I simply contacted my bank and canceled the check. In the evening, Alessia called to ask why I canceled the check, and I told her. She went batcrap, saying she didn't mean it that way and that she thought that this was somewhat an inside joke between desperate infertile women. She came over with her husband the next day begging I write another check, but I refused. An argument ensued and her husband thought I wasn't being supportive of her like when she supported me throughout my struggles. She left crying and we haven't talked since then. Her husband keeps reminding me, while repeatedly calling Carol a toxic snake, of the date of the next cycle, saying they can't have it after I took the money that was supposed to pay for it back. Some friends thinks I'm being oversensitive. Carol's on my side telling me to tell them to go to hell, but I feel so bad about it. What I've done might just damage our 15 years of friendship. Maybe I shouldn't have canceled it, but I just felt so offended by what she said about me and how she basically mocked my unfortunate circumstances. So am I the idiot? Not the idiot. How was it an inside joke between desperate infertile friends when she was making those comments about you, behind your back, to someone else? The only person who gets to decide whether to laugh about your circumstances, and how to talk about it, is you. You were being extremely generous. She showed she didn't deserve it, and her husband is showing that he felt entitled to it. You gave a very generous gift. The least you would expect from this gift to Alessia is to be treated with respect, i.e. no gossip, and potentially be an involved godparent if a pregnancy results. $12,000 is not an amount of money that comes with no strings attached. I don't know what Carol's motivation was, but clearly you are hurt and upset, and the $12,000 gift to Alessia is now off the table. OP, plan yourself a nice holiday that costs $12,000 and forget about Carol and Alessia as friends. Also, your ex, forget about him. What a shallow loser. Not the idiot. What's oversensitive in the joke she made? She's literally making fun of you for being infertile who can't hold on to their partner. She's rubbing in the fact that she's here, about to have a baby, if successful, while you, her friend, gets to probably grow old alone. Her joke is below the belt and it's insane. She thinks she can badmouth you behind your back while still getting your help for the treatment. Karma's an idiot and she deserves every second of it. I have had a group of 4 friends since elementary school. The 5 of us have stayed close friends through elementary, middle and high school, going to the same schools, and then through university, separate universities, but we would visit often and stayed very close. We are all 26 years old guys, and have been friends for 19 years now. One of the guys in the group, Brandon, is getting married in January. Brandon asked the other 3 guys to be groomsmen in his wedding, alongside his 2 brothers and 2 of his friends from college. This left me the only homie in the group who wasn't a groomsman. I was upset when I first realized, but I talked to my parents about it and they reminded me it's Brandon's wedding and not a group event. He can have who he likes up there, and just because I'm not a groomsman doesn't mean Brandon's doesn't consider me a friend. And that he does already have 7 people up there beside him, which is a lot. My parents are the only one I ever told I was upset about it, and now I think I'm pretty well over it. They've had a few groom's party gatherings, like they went for drinks after they got fitted for suits, and went golfing together, and Brandon and his fiancée had a barbecue for their wedding party. That's always a weird reminder for me. My friends and I usually go on a trip in December to watch a football game. We started the new tradition in our first year in university, and have been going every year since. It's always just been the 5 of us friends, and we go for like 3 or 4 days. On Tuesday my 3 friends came to me and wanted to know my opinion on inviting the other groomsmen on the trip as a surprise to Brandon. The 3 of them were clearly all for this idea, and really wanted me to say yes. I told them I wasn't sure, I had to think about it, which was awkward because it was obvious they thought I was just going to say yes. I spoke to them about it today, and said honestly I don't want to go on a trip being the only non-groomsman. I know Brandon's brothers, and I've met his college friends, and they're all cool, but I don't want to be the clear odd man out. I told my friends that they should do it, I just won't go this year, which was fine for me because I could do with saving some money because I have a separate destination wedding to go to in February now. The other guys won't invite the other groomsmen if it means I won't come. But it's clear they're also annoyed at them not being able to invite them because of me. One of my friends spoke to me separately and he told me he really thinks I'm not fair or a good friend, and asked if it's because I resent not being a groomsman. Feels like any decision I make besides agreeing to go on the trip with the 4 other groomsmen is going to make them mad at me. Am I the idiot for backing out of the trip if I'm going to be the only non-groomsman? Not the idiot. I wouldn't go on that trip. They're gonna be talking about the wedding and whatnot. Stuff you can't be involved in. It's not about resenting being left out of the wedding. It's wanting to do your traditional trip, not a groomsman's trip, which by definition would exclude you. I mean at this point, I'd just stay home anyway. They can have their big thing with the guys from the wedding. I would think good friends would understand. The trip became something that's not about your friend group. It turned into a wedding trip. Not the idiot. Say the others should definitely attend, say you'll still go, then have a last-minute issue crop up that means you have to cancel nearer the time. I understand your feelings are hurt and unfortunately, it's hard to imagine your friendship with these guys and the groom remaining the same now. It seems really strange to have such a big wedding party but leave you out of it. I don't blame you if you do feel resentful. You should have told them the truth about being resentful. Better to be honest than hold it back. If your other friends don't realize how they would feel being in the same position, what kind of friends are they? You are finally going on a trip where you aren't the man out and they, last minute, want you again to be the last man out inviting the rest of the guys. I feel for you. My sister, 15, and I, 19, are taking the same voice class at a community college. A requirement of the class is that you sing 5 times over the course of the semester. My sister is incredibly shy and has sang 5 times, but it's always been on Zoom for the professor. A couple things are nobody knows I'm her sister, she's adopted and we look absolutely nothing alike, and she's by far the youngest in the class. Most of the class is in their mid-20s early 30s, so everyone kinda babies her a little. My mom's friend's daughter, Anna, 25, is also in the class and my mom asked Anna to watch my sister and make sure she's doing okay. Anna also drives my sister to and from class because I go with my friends. Anna babies her a lot. She gives her candy and takes her out to eat before class and she makes sure everyone's really nice to her. My sister sang on Tuesday and when she was in a practice room, Anna went around and told everyone to clap for her no matter how she does and to only give nice comments because she's terrified. Then my sister sang and she wasn't the best, if you know what I mean. She was looking down the whole time and had her arms around her chest. They had to restart the song twice for her, she was ahead of the music, and didn't get half the notes right. Everyone clapped for her, except for me, then it was time for comments. I don't think I was rude, I just told her that the song needs a lot more work, she should probably pick a different song, and she needs to calm down before she sings again. She ended up crying and Anna gave me a death stare. Anna ended up taking her home early and when she got back to class, she pulled me aside and asked if I really had to make those comments and if it was absolutely necessary. It couldn't have waited until we were home and she wasn't on stage in front of the class. I said that I would have said that to everybody and she doesn't get special treatment just because she's afraid to talk or sing in front of people. When I got home my mom yelled at me for being mean to my sister and said that she cried in her room for a half hour because of how her performance went. I don't think it was a big deal but everyone else does, so I wanted to know if I was the idiot. You're the idiot. I teach theater at the college level. Rule number 1 in my class and every performance class I've ever taken, you applaud everyone unless you are explicitly meant to withhold applause. You honor that person's work, every time, without fail. The feedback is perhaps a different issue, But it sounds to me like you went out of your way to bully your little sister, not to offer the same constructive feedback you'd give another student. Do other students typically give harsher feedback, or is that usually the professor's job? In either case, while Anna is not doing your sister any favors, you are far more the idiot. You are the idiot for the manner in which you gave feedback. It was overly harsh. Feedback should be things like it was very brave of you to perform and it was clear you were nervous. Next time some deep breathing ahead of time might help with the nerves. I like X about your voice and think a song like example title would showcase X more effectively than this song did. She was trying to overcome a fear and you made the experience more embarrassing. People with anxiety about doing certain things need to expose themselves to the situations to learn there's nothing to be afraid of. You showed her when she tries, if she fails the first time you'll be there to tear her down instead of pushing her up. Married to my spouse about 15 years. I have one adult child from previous marriage. Spouse has their own adult children from a previous marriage. Mine is getting married soon and is adamant my spouse not attend and purposely not invited. Backstory: spouse had some serious rage issues, fueled by a med problem and untreated mental health issues, when all kids were younger, said some pretty unforgivable things and was very intimidating to all. Spouse and their kids do not have a relationship currently and we were not invited to their weddings. Spouse was heartbroken, and although has attempted to apologize, gets angry when they get called out on past behavior or kids don't get over it and forgive. Side note: spouse has been off meds for years and receives regular treatment for MH issues, but without the chance to show better behavior. An apology is just words. I have to respect everyone's feelings and wishes, and although I understand both my spouse's side and that of all the kids, I feel stuck in the middle. Spouse has now said I shouldn't attend my only kid's wedding at all if they aren't invited. I have a very good relationship with my kid and occasionally hear from stepkids. Am I the idiot if I go to the wedding without my spouse? Edit: it is impossible to respond to every reply. I also cannot share and explain every detail of my life in regard to this subject, not only to maintain anonymity, but for the sake of time and length of responses. I will say this: I appreciate all the feedback and responses. Those that are of the opinion that I am the idiot, I respect your opinion and can acknowledge that I have issues that will be attended to with professional assistance and guidance. For those of you who were victims of abusive family relationships, I am very sorry for what you experienced and can assure you that all kids in the family received counseling and have my fullest support in the boundaries they've set. I would never try to force or even ask them to take part in any relationship with my spouse. That would only take place when and if that is their own decision and in their own time. For those that answered my question, not the idiot, I appreciate your reassurance that my decision to attend the wedding, as it has been my intent all along, has always been the right choice. I believe that opinions that one should put their sole relationship before that of a child or only attend events as a couple must be a cultural thing and not the majority opinion. I will continue to love and support all involved and pray for the best outcome for all, as well as healthy relationships if that is what they choose to pursue. Thank you again. Not the idiot for wanting to go to the wedding without your spouse, but you are the idiot for staying with a person who has said unforgivable things and obviously caused issues between your family and even their own. It's very telling when they don't even have a good relationship with their own kids and won't apologize and tells them to get over it. Then they have the nerve to tell you that you shouldn't go to your only child's wedding. Are you serious? OP, wake up. What world is your spouse's side understandable? They were an abusive parent and now expects their adult kids to forgive and forget because they are supposedly better? Except if they really were, they wouldn't be acting like they are now. You are the idiot for staying with them when they treated your child poorly, and their own children. Not the idiot for going to the wedding without them though. As a guy who has been sober 8 years, I'm a little surprised that your spouse doesn't get it. They tell you over and over in recovery programs that it's absolutely imperative that you apologize and make amends to those you have wronged. However, it's ridiculous to expect those that you have wronged to accept your apologies. Maybe your spouse should get in touch with their sponsor and get back to a few meetings because their expectations are unrealistic. Go to the wedding. Your spouse needs to get his head straight. Hi. I am 23, and I have a son named Declan. About 2 months ago, Declan went to stay at his grandparents' house around 11 a.m. on a Saturday. About a week prior to this, my stepdad and I had a conversation about Declan being home by 12 on Sundays, since that is his dad's, my fiancé, only day off. He's a blue collar man. The Saturday I dropped Declan off, I knew they were going somewhere that day. I was told the store and maybe lunch. On Sunday morning, I messaged my mom asking what time they will be dropping Declan back off at our house. No response. Tried reaching out to my stepdad. No response. Mind you, this was around 9 a.m. I tried to call again 2 hours later. Still no response, so I start to get a little worried. Finally, around 12, my mom texted me back saying they were at the beach. I'm sorry. What? After that, I proceeded to tell her how I would like to know where they are going, especially since my son was only 16 at the time, not to mention I had already discussed a drop-off time with them. But my mother is not one to really reason with. It's her way or the highway. I tried to set boundaries and I got called names and was told to go to hell, so after that I told my mom a couple of my friends were near them and was going to get Declan for me. She refused. She wanted to drop him off so we could talk. That is her screaming at me in my driveway, so I declined. Then threatened to not give me my son entirely unless I talked to her. I told her if she didn't give Declan to my friends, then I would call the cops and report her for kidnapping. She called everyone in my family and told them I threatened her because I was jealous she took my son to the beach. All I tried to do was set a boundary with my mother about my son, and now our relationship is damaged. My mother says since she's the grandmother, she should be able to spoil her grandchild without having to ask me first. I say it's fine to spoil him as long as it's within the boundaries I set. Anyways, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. OP, you threatened to call the cops on your mom for kidnapping because it was kidnapping. You didn't know where your son was and your parents didn't tell you ahead of time that they were going to the beach. Then you try to lay boundaries down with your mom and she's calling you every name under the sun for it? OP, if you want my advice, don't drop your son off at your parents' place anymore. If your mom has tried this once, she'll do it again. Not the idiot. But go get your child. Don't expect friends to get him. Accept the of course we can talk. You don't have to stay and get yelled at, you just need to get your kid in your arms. If you don't have transportation, get an Uber/call a friend and get your baby. If when you get there mom doesn't immediately hand you your son, call the police. You're wrong to think that you're setting the boundary is what caused the damage. Your request is absolutely reasonable. Your mom's consideration of it, however, is not. She doesn't have the right to walk all over your boundaries. No one does, without your express permission, which she doesn't have. Sounds like it's time to set consequences and, more importantly, follow through.